Trixie were in Manhattan to see her fiancé, who she'd been dating for the past 4 years. She had been engaged for about 1 year. She was very happy to be able to see her fiancé since they haven't even seen each other lately due to the fact of her work at the School of Friendship in Ponyville. But now that she has a break from her school work, she decided to go see him in Manhattan as a surprise visit. She has even let him know because it wouldn't even be as a surprise visit. But she knows that the fact that he usually sits in the city park around noon for lunch. But when she arrived at the park, at first she couldn't find him anywhere at all. But when she was about to walk around one corner in the park, then she saw him. He was sitting on a bench, but he wasn't even alone. There was another mare next to him, and they looked to be quite cozy. From that distance, Trixie could hear this other mare talking to her fiancé perfectly well, despite the bit of distance. This other mare said to Trixie's fiancé, "Aren't you afraid that your fiancé will somehow find out about us?" But Trixie's fiancé said, "Nah, I really don't give a care about her anymore. You are the one that I really love. My sweet, sweet, beloved Rose." It was apparently her nickname from Trixie's fiancé. Trixie felt heartbroken. She couldn't believe it. They had been together for so long and been dating for a while as well. And they were in fact talking about getting married within the next few months. But apparently he had no intention to ever even marry Trixie at all. She had two options here. She could go up to them, confront her fiancé of what she just heard, or she could just simply leave Manhattan and go back home. She was so heartbroken, even though she was crying, she even had such rage. But she didn't even want to confront them. So she slowly turned and walked away and took the train back to Ponyville. Even when she went back home, she didn't even want to see any pony at all. She even went to her wagon and basically didn't leave for the next few days. Even Starlight started getting a bit worried that she hasn't seen her best friend in a while. When she went to see her in her wagon, Trixie didn't even open the door. In fact, she had locked the wagon door so that no pony could even enter without her permission, even if she had known them for a while. "Trixie, are you okay in there?" She could hear that Trixie were in fact inside the wagon, crying. But Trixie didn't even respond. "Trixie, it's me, Starlight. Can we talk? I heard you're crying there. Is something happened? Weren't you supposed to be with your fiancé by now?" That was true, because they were also even planned to have some more talk about their upcoming wedding. But since that is not going to happen. But Trixie said only with your few words, "Leave me alone," she cried out loudly enough. Starlight was stunned. This was not like Trixie's behavior that she usually have. But she didn't even want to make Trixie even further upset. So she told Trixie that if she wants to talk, she can just come to the castle and they can talk privately. After that, Trixie heard that and the Starlight had left. It wasn't until in the evening when Starlight saw that Trixie left the wagon in the middle of the night, but she didn't follow. She could hear that she was still crying and she just wanted the best for her friend. Trixie left Ponyville and she didn't walk out onto the meadows near a small forest where she found a small pond and just laid down there, cried. She was very much in love with her ex-fiance. She hasn't even told him about this betrayal, but she would eventually she fought herself. But as she was laying there crying, she heard a voice. Hi, are you doing okay? She turned and looked. It was a stallion. At first she couldn't even recognize it, but until she then saw the face and the cutie mark. It was of a pickle, and she only knew of one pony with that cutie mark. Her eyes got wide. It was her childhood friend, Pickle. She hadn't seen him in a long time. Pickle? Is that you? Yeah, it's me. Trixie? What are you doing here? And in the middle of the night? Are you even okay? Trixie was stunned, but she had no idea what to do. So she said that a lot of things had happened. Well, I'm all ears if you want to talk to me. After all, I'm your childhood friend. Trixie nodded and then she told him as he laid down next to her. Jeez, really? He, that's just unbelievable. Have you even informed him that you know about this? But Trixie shook her head and said no, she hasn't. Look, you probably need to do it, otherwise he probably thinking that you can still take advantage of you. Trixie knew that Pickle had a good point, so she decided to do that within the next few days. But what were you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be living in Canterlot? Actually, no. I moved away from Canterlot about a couple of years back. I moved to Trottingham, but now unfortunately not living there anymore. Of course, I'm living in Ponyville. Since when? About a few days ago. Turns out that he had recently moved to Ponyville. But why? I mean, didn't you like it in Trondheim? Well, due to some circumstances, I decided to leave. Why? Did something bad happen? Well, you can say that again, he said. Look, almost hurt. Then he explained. Even he went through a recent bad breakup. Ever since he moved to Trollingham, and shortly sometime after he moved there, he saw this mare and they started dating. They started dating and dating for almost about a year when he found out that she had been cheating on him with another stallion for half of the time, for half a year. And the fact that she was even pregnant. But it wasn't even Pickle's baby, it was this other stallion. How could she even do that? Did she even love you? Apparently not. Apparently I was just something that she used to pretend it. She only took advantage of me so that I could spend some money on her or give her money when she wanted or needed. Wasn't there that stallion even had a job or something? Oh yes, he did have a job, but just she wanted more. But he was also apparently aware that she used me on the side, and that he didn't even care, because he knows that they were dating and she wasn't actually dating me or something. I don't even know. That's rough. Rough? Well, you can say that again, he said with a chuckle, trying to sound funny, but he was still hurt. So yeah, that's is one of the reasons I moved away from Trondheim to live here. At least ponies here are more friendlier, and I heard that you lived here, but since we hadn't seen each other in a while, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to see me. I mean, we didn't even like end our friendship or anything. It's just we hadn't even seen each other for a while, and I thought maybe it would be awkward. Yeah, in a sense, yeah. You know, I actually missed you so much lately myself, and I always wondered, like, what happened to you? I heard that you had moved away from Canterlot, but I wasn't sure exactly where, and I mean, I didn't know if I could find you somewhere. Well, you don't even have to look. Here I am. True. They both sat there talking, and topics about childhood memories and other things that came up. Eventually, Trixie started feeling a bit more calmer and relaxed. They sat there for maybe about an hour talking before both of them went back to Ponyville. Eventually, they went separate ways because he went home and she went to her wagon. But for the next several days after this, Trixie did write a letter to her ex-fiance to telling him that she saw him with this another mayor and that in fact she knew now that she had been cheated on and that to let him know to never approach her ever again and that this engagement is called off and that she is happy that he is out of her life because calling him as a cheater was so that the lowest any stallion could ever do. Because she wrote, if he had been cheating on her, it would not matter before he would even cheat on his new female partner, which probably would be possible. So, and even though he never responded, but he did send back the ring in a small envelope with only one few words. Take care of yourself. Which he was referring to that he wasn't sorry, but he wanted her to take care of herself as try to be polite as possible. From that day, it didn't take long for the rest of her friends, especially Starlight, to find out what happened. And they were horrified. They felt so awful to that she went through all this. But luckily for her, she had her friends and her parents back in Canterlot and Pickle as so emotional and big support. But even though deep down Trixie felt still betrayed, she loved this stallion. She wanted to be his wife, start a family one day, but then being backstabbed, betrayed by the one she loved the most was the most awful she could even go through. But then a year passed since then. She had slowly moved on, and even during this time, she actually had moved on to start dating some new pony. And surprising was actually even Pickle. Around 6 months after this engagement was called off, she had slowly moved on, and Pickle confessed to her that he had been in love with Trixie the whole time. And even though the fact she wasn't sure if this was even a good idea, but knowing for one small fact, they had known each other for many years. Which word did she use for the one thing as an advantage? She knew. She knows how he is as an individual. He had never done anything like that before, and he always stood up for his friends, protect them, help them, no matter what happens. He even helped strangers if needed. Trixie was just then happy but also cautious. But both agreed not to get engaged until they had been together for at least a few years. Because after what she went through, she didn't want to experience that so soon again. But just after just 1 year of been dating, then it happened. One day when she was just by her wagon, preparing for an upcoming performance in Trottingham soon, there was a knock on her door to the wagon. She was expecting maybe to see Starlight or Twilight or any of her friends, since Pickle was actually not even he wasn't even in town. He was in Canterlot to see his family for a few days. But when she opened, there he stood, her ex-fiancé, holding a bouquet of flowers. Hey, Trixie. Oh, it's you. What do you want? Hey, don't be so cold. I'm I'm actually here to try to see if we could perhaps, try again. She looked at him, surprised, angry, but also not amused kind of look. You really are such an idiot. What? You cheated on me for half the time when we dating, or at least for a while, and you honestly think I would even stoop so low to take back a cheater? She said loudly so the ponies outside could hear this happening. And he saw that, hey, keep it down. They don't even had to. They had to know. In fact, entire Ponyville knows already that you cheated on me with another mayor. By the way, weren't you supposed to marry this other mayor? What happened? Oh, let me guess. She cheated on you with another stallion? Or did you cheat on her with some other pony? Turns out it was the first option. Turns out this other mare that he was supposed to that he had fallen in love with, the one he called his little Rose, well, turned out she was seeing some other stallion also at the same time. And that made it a lot of things worse. Yeah, sorry about that part, but no, you can just take your flowers and go home. I wrote to you in a letter by word, perfectly clear. I didn't even never see you again, never even see your face, not even want to hear your voice, not even want to see you at all. I was perfectly clear in that part. And despite that, here you are, in face to face. Despite I said in the letter not to even approach me. And even if you did want to try again, it's impossible. I am dating some pony else. Who? He said angrily. That is not your business, Trix said firmly. It is, because you're my ex-fiancé and I have all the rights. No, you don't. You don't have the rights. And then she closed the door in his face and he screamed out that they are meant to be. But then she heard a voice. Hey, don't bother her anymore. It was apparently Pickle. He had apparently returned home a bit earlier than usual. And you want? I'm Trixie's boyfriend. So whatever you do, leave her alone. You? Her boyfriend? Don't make me... But then, he just didn't say finish his word. Because Trixie stormed out and, well, kicked him right in his leg, which made him angry, but also screamed out, What are you doing? I'm defending myself and my boyfriend. I told you to leave, but you didn't even listen. Unless you want me to teleport you somewhere far, far away. Maybe, how about I teleport you all the way to Dragonlands so the dragons there can teach you a lesson? Even if she wanted to do that, but her magic was not even strong enough to even send him even that far, but he took the message and just simply walked away. Trixie could see her ex-fiancé just walking down the street and vanished. It was the last time she even saw him. Even Pickle walked up to her to ask if she was okay, if he tried to do something. But she said no, he didn't do anything. She was really happy that he came home a bit earlier. And even eventually, Starla and the others, they heard what happened. They said if they had been there, they would have defended. Because this ex-fiancé would even do anything against a royal princess like Twilight. Which makes perfect sense. But then, a few months later, Pickle actually did propose to Trixie, even though they had made a fully agreed not to propose even after a few years, but they had only been together for just 1 year. But she said yes immediately because it was a perfect choice. If her ex-fiance would even come back, she could just simply tell him now she is engaged and getting married soon with her boyfriend. And when she is married, there's no way for him to even to have a chance of taking Trixie back. And they did get married about 2 months later in a small ceremony in Ponyville. Pickle had asked Spike to be his best man. Trixie had asked Fluttershy to be her maid of honor. Twilight was the one who asked to be to perform the ceremony. And they even had this small wedding venue celebration afterwards at the castle, but just some of their close friends and families. Even later, when Pickle and Trixie went on their honeymoon, they went to Las Pegasus for about a week. There they just had an amazing time, enjoying it as much as possible, because now they were officially married. They were both happy to had entered a new chapter in their lives. About 2 years after they got married, they made an announcement that in fact they were expecting their first child, twin daughters, both unicorns. They were so happy now to finally have a family of their own. Ever since then, Trixie did often wonder to exactly what exactly made her ex-fiance to even go as far being cheating. Like, what made him to do this choice in the first place? If they had been together for a few years and engaged for a while, and then suddenly just going as far as cheating on her, and even they talked about marriage, if he had no intention to marry her, then why would even he just simply call off the engagement or even propose to her in the first place? That was one of the major questions that Trixie asked herself, but she never get the answer. And eventually, she told herself she doesn't even want to know the answer, and now she's only happy with Pickle, the one that she loved the most in the entire world. Even Pickle was happy that he literally took the chance to move to Ponyville, even though if he hadn't even moved to Ponyville, he probably would move somewhere else, maybe back to Canterlot. But he is happy that he did take the chance to move to Ponyville, and by surprise to eventually reconnect with his old friend that would eventually lead to something more. And this is how Trixie Lulamoon and Pickles found a true love, got a big family together. The end.